The room was loud. Glasses clinked. Laughter spilled like cheap perfume. And then my wife decided to perform. "Don't let him fool you," she said, swirling her wine. "He's clumsy in bed." The word clumsy echoed louder than the music. A few people laughed. Someone choked on a drink. I stood there holding a plate I no longer felt. Then her best friend leaned back in her chair, studying me over the rim of her glass. "You're wrong," she said softly. "He's not clumsy." Silence. My wife's smile froze. Mine didn't, because in that single moment, the betrayal sharpened into focus. Not suspicion, confirmation. I didn't react. "I never do." I set the plate down carefully. I even kissed my wife's cheek before excusing myself to the balcony. The night air was cold, clean, honest. Unlike my marriage. We weren't always like this. 8 years ago, she looked at me like I was the only man alive. She used to defend me in crowded rooms, used to squeeze my hand under tables, used to say I made her feel safe. I built everything for her. The house, the business, the circle of friends that now laughed at me. Her best friend, Maya, had been around since the beginning. Close, too close maybe. Always at our dinners, our vacations, our milestones. I trusted them both. Trust, that fragile, stupid currency. Looking back, the signs were there. Whispers that stopped when I entered rooms. Maya's lingering eye contact, my wife's sudden cruelty disguised as humor. But betrayal rarely arrives screaming, it seeps. And that night at the party, it spilled. I didn't confront anyone. That's what amateurs do. I went home and began watching. Quietly. Phone records are predictable. Patterns are louder than confessions. Late-night calls. Private messaging apps. Girls' nights that overlapped with hotel receipts on our joint credit card. I hired a private investigator. Not because I needed proof of infidelity. I needed proof of conspiracy. 2 weeks later, I had photographs. Not of them together. Of them with someone else. A man from my own company. A junior executive I had mentored. It wasn't just an affair. It was leverage. I dug deeper. Maya's brother had recently secured a supply contract through my company. Fast approval. No proper vetting. My wife had pushed hard for it. I followed the money. Overpriced materials, shell accounts, quiet transfers. They weren't just mocking me in bed. They were stealing from me in daylight. That was the real insult. I moved carefully. First, I separated our finances under the guise of tax. Restructuring. She signed the documents without reading. She never reads. Then I transferred key assets into a holding company under my name alone. Legal, clean, irreversible. I informed my board of an internal audit. No accusations, just routine review. The junior executive panicked before I even said his name. Guilt is impatient. The investigator delivered the final piece. Emails between my wife and Maya, outlining how they planned to pressure me into stepping down as CEO once. The supply contract scaled. They underestimated me. They always did. The execution required theater. I chose our annual company gala. 200 guests, investors, press. My wife arrived in red, radiant, confident. Maya at her side. They looked powerful. They looked victorious. Midway through the evening, I stepped onto the stage. Microphone steady in my hand. "I want to thank everyone," I began. "Especially those who remind us that trust must be audited like everything else." Polite laughter. Then the screen behind me lit up. Financial charts first. Overpayments, contract discrepancies. Whispers spread like wildfire. Then emails. Highlighted phrases. "Once he's out of the picture, we'll control the board." Maya's face drained of color. My wife's smile cracked. I let the silence stretch. Let the weight settle. "I initiated a full investigation 2 months ago," I continued calmly. "Effective immediately, the supply contract is terminated. Legal proceedings are underway. Security approached the junior executive before he could reach the exit." Gasps. I turned toward my wife. "And as for internal betrayals, my attorney has already filed for divorce. Fraud and conspiracy carry consequences." She finally spoke. "You're humiliating me." I met her eyes. "No," I said quietly. "You did that at the party." The room understood without details. "They always do." Maya tried to speak. I cut her off with a glance. "You should have chosen your words more carefully." Power shifted in visible waves. Investors moved toward me, not them. Security escorted Maya out first. Then my wife. Her heels clicked against marble floors like a countdown ending. The fallout was swift. Lawsuits filed. Assets frozen. Reputations dismantled. The board voted unanimously to expand my authority, in light of demonstrated leadership under pressure. Funny how betrayal becomes a resume highlight when handled properly. My wife attempted damage control, tears, apologies, claims of misunderstanding. Too late. I had already replaced her on every legal document that mattered. And emotionally, that happened the moment she called me clumsy. Now, months later, I sit alone in the house I kept. Quiet, orderly, mine. Sometimes I replay that party in my head. The laughter, the insult, Maya's interruption. You're wrong. He's not clumsy. She was right. I am many things. Patient, observant, precise. But clumsy? Never. They confused silence with weakness. They confused kindness with incompetence. They mistook my restraint for incapability. That was their fatal miscalculation. Revenge doesn't require shouting. It requires timing. And when I finally moved, I didn't stumble. I executed, and I walked away steady.